I'm Rodrigo Pepo. As you know, I'm here with you today to go through presenting, organizing, attending to events, plus using social media with the focus on Sitecore events, presenting Sitecore events, organizing events, attending and participating in events, and using social media for that purpose. All right, folks, I will speak generically about events. In the next session, we will speak about the most important events in our calendar. But for now, the advices that you will have are generic and will not be focusing on any event in specific. Just keep in mind that Sitecore promotes multiple events. Not just the Sitecore company itself, but the Sitecore community does produce multiple events every year. And the events vary according to your region. Some events are only in Asia, some events are only in North America, some events will be only in Europe. Also very important to tell guys that when you select a theme or something to create your own material for a presentation, you can easily, and that's not something bad, it's totally okay to reuse your own material. So if you have a blog post, maybe a very interesting one, maybe a series of blog posts, interesting client work and things like that, you can think about making these things become a presentation. A presentation is a very rich way to expose yourself as an MVP aspirant and later as an MVP itself. Okay, so nearly all MVPs are looking for presenting something. This is not like that every MVP has the obligation to do anything. No, maybe you are someone who doesn't like to speak in public. That's okay. You can choose other things. There will be those who does not do that, which will be okay anyhow. But this is something important for you to have in mind. Putting together your presentations shows up your experience, your maturity level as an MVP. Usually, all events in the Sitecore community will start with a call for papers. So, for instance, user groups, Sitecore user groups, the SUBCons, symposiums, Virtual Developer Day, all of them have a call for paper. And you send your idea. If your paper happens to be selected, you will be the next speaker, one of the next speakers in that event. Some tips for putting together a good call for paper, folks. Pay attention to requirements. Okay, usually the user groups or the events, anyhow, will be putting together some requirements, like number of characters to type, like the topics they want to see, the time they want to, the duration of the presentation. Keep an eye on the buzzwords and hot topics. That's one generic advice that I can give to anyone. If you are following the events, if you are participating in the events, if you are checking the new publications, the new acquisitions of Sitecore, if you are up to date, you will end up listening a lot of those buzzwords, right? Like CDP, like personalization, experience, like all composable, all those buzzwords. If you can incorporate any of these buzzwords or hot topics to your call for paper, you increase the chance to have your paper selected. Don't forget to write concise and attractive applications. Don't write too much. Go straight to the point and don't spend too much time with collateral subjects. You should focus on your subject itself, and especially in explaining why your presentation is special. You will notice that I'm bringing this subject to multiple occasions. For instance, writing a blog post, creating a presentation everywhere where you produce new content, you always must pay attention to what makes your contribution special. And here it's not different. So you should be very concise and specific on why your presentation is special. What makes your presentation highlight from the other presentations in these subjects? Okay, I'll give you one example. If you pick a very buzzword, very high buzzword like CDP, for instance, okay, and you plan to submit to the next subcon, um, you can, because it's a buzzword, you can anticipate that there will be a lot of presentations speaking about the same subject. So you don't want to be another one in the crowd, right? You don't want to be another face in the crowd. You want to make sure that you explain in your presentation why that presentation is special. Think about something you can add. Think about something you can, a point of view or something that can prove your presentation is different. Also, it's important to understand there will be online events and offline events. During the pandemic, most of them moved to online, but now things are getting slowly back to normal. Attack them all. You know, there are no, I would say, yes, there is some scale of importance. If you speak in a symposium or a subcon, that will be very important. But don't underestimate the online events. They are very important. They are very interesting as well, and people keep their eyes on online events as well. And also, folks, if you are unsure about your presentation, smaller events are much easier to access, like Sitecore user groups. You know, it's if you know the person who is organizing or the people who are organizing that user group, you have a great chance to speak to that person and have your presentation approved. So take advantage of user groups. So user groups are great ways to assess and get your first presentation disclosed to the community. I want to go through little of the themes, presentation themes and formats that are usually out there, okay? As I spoke in the previous slide, some themes are more keen to be selected than others, okay? So I will list a few, usually new Sitecore technologies or products or Sitecore acquisitions. Like I mentioned before, buzzwords and hot topics, they will be great things to take inspiration, get inspiration for your presentation. Common struggles and issues, things that the community are usually having multiple times and you don't see that information out there. You can give your history story for the people, for the community. If you're covering needs from the industry, people who use Sitecore, usually marketers from financials industry or healthcare industry or whatever the industry is, if you are covering a story that goes, through these industry needs, you have a great chance to be selected. Success stories, one thing is speaking in theory, but when you have a success story, that means you have something more powerful than just a hypothesis. You put that in practice, and now you can tell about your experience, so that's one important way to get inspiration for subjects as well. Some subjects are inspiring or visionary, like face recognition, like prostheses for people who are handicapped, people who lost an arm in an accident. you present something about how to have some inspiring topics like that. In the previous symposiums, we had the story from possible, not impossible story, not impossible, which is a folk speaking about the multiple things they did using technology to help people who have some kind of disability to get more productive and to be re-socialized. Those are very inspiring topics, eye-catching topics, and things that are very interesting, like automation, artificial intelligence. Those things are always interesting. So formats. Usually those presentations will take about 30 to 45 minutes. You can make some smaller presentations or bigger presentations, but normally that's the format that most of these events are accepting, 30 to 45 minutes. Don't forget to put together some attractive slide decks, because you want to attract people and put together some interesting narrative. Use and abuse of external references. 45 minutes, 30 minutes, it's not too much, right? So instead of just trying to explain everything, abuse of external references so people can have it be easier for them to catch up. You can have a demo. Some people have live demos. Some people record the demos. Watch out for the demo gods. That's one common joke in the community, where when you are heading to execute a demo during a live presentation, the demo gods must be pleased. Otherwise, if you don't please and honor the demo gods, they can screw up your demo and make you look as an idiot in front of your audience. Some people do record their demos due to that. And I honestly have made both things, recorded or live demo, and sometimes I got, yes, scrambled by demo gods, sometimes not. Don't forget to reserve some time, allocate some time in your presentation for Q&A. Maybe 2 to 5 minutes can be enough. If you reserve too much and there's no question, that can become embarrassing. But if you reserve too few and there's a lot of questions, that can also be bad. So reserve proper time, 2 to 5 minutes for questions. Some hints about becoming a better speaker. It's very important to practice and improve. So record yourself, watch later, and see how you're coming. You will have a better perception if you record yourself. You can present to a smaller audience, like for instance, your friend, your wife, whoever is by your side. Don't forget to collect impressions for the audience. If you don't listen to them, you'll not be able to know what is not working, and revisit the parts that didn't work well. So don't forget to go back to your presentation and adjust that. Very important, know your theme by heart. If you know very well your theme, you don't need to be paying attention or concerned to know exactly word by word what you are talking. If you know your theme by heart, just by looking to your slide, you know what you speak, what you say. So know your theme by heart is the biggest advice I can give. If you want to use any clutches, I'm not against that. But the only thing is your clutch cannot kill your connection with the audience, okay? So let's say you are using flashcards. If that's your clutch, okay. But don't use too much. Don't forget to look into your audience eyes, because your mission as a speaker is to, first and foremost, to connect to your audience. So don't let the clutch, block you and kill your connection with the audience. And why not listen to the pros? Attending to sessions, going to sessions, listening to good speakers and even looking for tips like how to become a better public speaker, some tips like you see on screen. Looking for improvement is always good. So that's the biggest secret. Uh, Organizing events. Okay, I will be going through this very quick. You can be a founder or co-founder. You can look forward for opening your own user group. Maybe there is no user groups in your location. You can open a user group in your city or state or whatever. That's a good way to start. Or you can be part of the organization, like you can volunteer to help existing user groups. You can volunteer to help. You can ask the organizer to if they are looking for any help and things like that. You can help to promote existing events. You can do that officially, like being in touch with the organizer and asking for their permission to promote, or you can do that extra-officially just by going to your media, social media, and promoting the event, speaking about that. Here's a list of a few tasks involved in organizing an event. So visual identity, putting together a visual identity to your event. Identify and filter speakers, that's a big task. Without speakers, you don't have an event. Sponsorship, having people, companies helping you cover the costs is very important. Promotion and coverage, using the media to promote before and after. Venue, looking for, if it's a physical event, of course, you need to look for a venue. You need to have a venue that has room enough for the whole audience that you are expecting and things like that. You must have good equipment. What you gonna need? Maybe a projector, microphones, and everything that we spoke when we covered the videos, a few weeks ago. You might have partner booths to arrange if you have, sponsors. They can expose their things and promote their services in a partner. And you have to take care of that as well. Almost finished, folks. Attending to events. Of course, because you're going to keep yourself up to date. You're going to do some networking, which is very important to know people and let people know your face and your name. That's very important. Of course, lots of fun. Those kind of events, especially physical ones, are always very, very fun. But, folks, pay attention on this. MVP aspirants must go beyond participation. So you should not just go there and attend to the event and expect that will be good for your MVP. It will not. You must do something else with the event. For instance, you can write a blog post with your point of view about the event. You can join roundtables, lots of user groups promotes roundtables to speak about what you learn. You can do roundtables internally as well. You can engage in spin-off discussions on Twitter and etc. You can run micro sessions. In the last symposium, they had a tool called Brain Dates. And Brain Dates is a way to schedule. You can schedule and offer yourself as a speaker for a small group of people. So that's a good way to engage as well during the participation in events. And that's the last slide today, folks. Using your social media, especially in the event, in this context of events, it's very important. Not just in the events context, but also generally. In general, you must have seen when we spoke about blogs and videos, we spoke about promoting them, and we cover social media. So during the event, usually the social medias are very active, so make sure that you are using the proper tags, hashtags. For example, SC Hackathon for the hackathon, Sitecore Sim for the symposium, and things like that. You can promote during, before, and after. So before, you can promote correlated material, create the expectation. During, you're gonna post pictures, you're gonna post your stories, impressions about how the crew is attending to that. And after, you're gonna create spin-off material, like I mentioned, round tables, related material, your own blogs, and etc. And of course, social media networks, most used that I know, LinkedIn, Twitter. LinkedIn has a lot of groups related to Sitecore. You can take advantage of that. Twitter, it has been bigger before. Today, it's not that thing, but people still use that a lot. Facebook as well. There are a few groups on Sitecore about that. Instagram, people are usually posting pictures and things like that in the context of our events. That can be a big thing.